All right, good morning, party people. I'm having technical difficulties. This is the third attempt, October 20th. Happy Friday. Okay, so today, for those of you that I know are reading along, we are in the Old Testament. Yesterday we were in the New Testament. Today we are reading Exodus 15:16, 2 Chronicles 1:2, Revelations 19:20, Psalms 125 to 132, and then Proverbs 18. So we are starting a new book in the Old Testament. We're starting 2 Chronicles. A little bit of historical background. I think I gave you this when we started First Chronicles. So this was believed to have been written by Ezra when they were in Babylonian captivity to encourage the people in captivity that God's promises still stand, that what he promised he will fulfill, that he's going to continue to work through the line of David and through which the Messiah would come. So what's really interesting is when you read the books, when you read the sources, Ezra was a scribe. Those of you that have not read the book of Ezra need to check it out. It's really good. And so these are some of the sources that we're going to see he's referring to in Second Chronicles that he utilizes to compile Second Chronicles. So some of those that are going to be mentioned, this is in my study Bible that I'm sure you're all getting or have. It says some of these books include the Book of the Kings of Israel and Judah, and then it says the Book of the Kings of Israel, the Annals or Commentary of the Book of the Kings, the Book of Nathan, the Prophecy of Ahijah, and the Visions of Iddo, the History of Shemaiah, and the Annals of Iddo, the Writings of the Prophet Isaiah, the Sayings of Hosea, and the Laments. The Chronicle also cites the canonical books of First and Second Kings. So even in the midst of being exiled to Babylon, they still have all of their historical data. I think a lot of it was memorized, but clearly they had some documentation as well. So what you're seeing here in the second book of Chronicles, we're starting with 1:2. We're seeing David has passed and Solomon has now taken over. And right at the very beginning, you see 2 Chronicles 1:1. It says, "Now Solomon, the son of David, was strengthened in his kingdom, and the Lord his God was with him and exalted him exceedingly." So that's a great way to start. And then it goes on to say in verse 2 how he gathered a meeting. Remember at the end of First Chronicles, we saw the big gathering that David had. It reminded me of the Knights of the Round Table. Everything was beautiful and glorious, and all of these great plans he had. It was a beautiful ending for First Chronicles. And so there's the same flavor here at the beginning of Second Chronicles, because he gathers, says Solomon spoke to all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, to the judges, and to every leader in all Israel, the heads of the fathers' houses. Then Solomon and all the assembly with him went to the high place that was at Gibeon, for the tabernacle of meeting with God was with God was there, which Moses the servant of the Lord had made in the wilderness. So anyways, it goes on to just give a little bit of history there. But he goes on to honor God and to do a great big ceremony and worships God there. And so it was a beautiful moment. And then in verse 7, you see God's first appearance to Solomon here. It says, "On that night, God appeared to Solomon and said to him, 'Ask, what shall I give you?'" Now, I'm always saying, be careful when God asks you a question. This is a different kind of question, though. This is a character question also. We know that God knows everything, but he asked him, "What shall I give you?" And what was Solomon's response? He wanted wisdom, right? And so Solomon said to God, "You have shown great mercy to David my father and have made me king in his place. Now, O Lord our God, let your promise to David my father be established, for you have made me king over a people like the dust of the earth in multitude. Now give me wisdom and knowledge that I may go out and come in before this people. For who can judge this people of yours?" Then God said to Solomon, "Because this was in your heart, and you have not asked riches or wealth or honor or the life of your enemies, nor have you asked for long life, but have asked wisdom and knowledge for yourself, that you may judge my people over whom I have made you king, wisdom and knowledge are granted to you. And I will give you riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had who were before you, nor shall any after you have the like." And then the very next section, so, God, of course, loved that. He wanted wisdom. And everyone knows that the wisdom of Solomon was just completely super famous. I mean, everybody knows about the wisdom of Solomon. Even people that are biblically illiterate, when they hear the name Solomon, I mean, most people understand that there was he was known for his wisdom. And then the very next chapter goes into his military and economic power. So it describes in a very short section just how that wisdom was used just militarily and economically. So he built up certain cities that were used on major trade routes. They became super famous for purchasing things inexpensively, chariots and horses, super fine, expensive horses from certain areas that were famous, and made a lot of money trading and selling those. And so it goes on in just a very short section to describe that. And it says at the end of that, they also acquired and imported from Egypt chariots and horses. It talks about how the gold became like nothing to them because they were so wealthy. So then in chapter 2 we see, I can't believe it, I'm actually getting to the second chapter. These are short chapters. Solomon actually prepares to build the temple that David had helped him prepare all the materials for. And so you see right off, though, in chapter 2 that David calls out to Hiram, king of Tyre. Now, Hiram, king of Tyre, had a relationship with David. They were close. They were friendly. And so you see Solomon reaching out to Hiram, just like David, to cement that relationship, And Hiram was very well aware of who Solomon was. They had probably met each other multiple times in different settings. And Solomon is asking Hiram for assistance for building the temple. So it's clear that Hiram must have been known for skillful artisans, because that's what he sends him. And not only does he send him a skillful artisan, but he sends him a man who he makes it clear whose mother was from the tribe of Dan. So she was Jewish, and she had married someone from Tyre, a man from Tyre. So he's sending back to him one of his own people and saying he will be great. He will do a great job, and he does. And so it goes on to describe then the writings back and forth between Hiram and Solomon. And again, you see wisdom. I mean, this is wise. So he's reaching out to a friendly nation that had been friendly with his father, who he had probably met, and he just wants to cement that relationship, and he's asking for assistance, and he offers to pay him for that assistance. Then you see how he also utilizes the people that are living in the kingdom that are not Jewish to build the temple. And so that's kind of the beginning. So it's kind of a short reading today. But I think that's all I have for you guys. So read your Bible. Jesus is coming. Love you. Have a great day.